Wildfires in LA cause more Critical Role delays, D&D reveals their new DEADLIER Undead, and some big fantasy trailers drop. Welcome to Tabletop News Tuesday on the Character Sheet, your home for the week's first look at the biggest TTRPG and fantasy news. Before we break down all the big Critical Role and D&D news, why not take a second and hit those like and subscribe buttons to help us keep growing? And then, let's dive into the news.
Check this out!
Critical Role has announced more delays to their programming as wildfires continue to rampage across Los Angeles. And with more windstorms threatening to make the situation in LA even worse this week, the delays may only get longer. Matt Mercer and Marisha Ray revealed that they were forced to evacuate their home last week along with their dog Omar. Producer Kyle Shire has already lost his home in the fire, and numerous other cast and crew members have evacuated and the status of their homes remains unknown, with Marisha also revealing on Instagram that many of the staff don't even have access to their computers at the moment given the state of things. Because of that, many of Critical Role's other podcasts and programs have canceled their shows for the foreseeable future, including no more new Fireside Chat with a Critical Role cast and the latest episode of the Reslayer's Take being delayed. While today's Assassin's Creed Shadows one-shot is still scheduled for release, that session was completed and most likely had post-production finished and was scheduled for release days before the fires broke out in LA, and the next episode of Campaign 3, which is potentially the last of the entire campaign, is now in jeopardy as well, as CR still maintains tentative plans to release it this Thursday. But if conditions in LA continue to worsen, it may be at least another week or longer until we get to see what happens next to Bell's Hells and all of Exandria. But the important thing is, the cast and crew are safe, although many are dealing with the loss or potential loss of their homes or the homes of their friends and family. So if you would like to help those impacted by these horrible wildfires, we will once again include the link in the description and the comment section for the California Community Foundation's Wildfire Recovery Fund to help those impacted by this terrible disaster. And we will bring you updates on Critical Role's return to Campaign 3 as we learn more.
Just come with me. Come on.
In much lighter news, Castlevania Nocturne has just dropped the final trailer for Season 2, which premieres in just a few days on January 16th. The trailer, in which Richter Belmont gets second billing behind Alucard in what is theoretically his own show, features their team of vampire hunters banding together with the elements of the French Revolution in Paris to fight off the Vampire Messiah's massive army as they attempt to plunge the world into perpetual darkness. With an ever-expanding cast of protagonists, it's kind of hard to feel like Richter Belmont is at the center of his own story, with so much screen time to spread around to Alucard and his fellow vampire hunters. But we do have to say the fight scenes look as amazing as ever, and this vampire-inspired take on the French Revolution has piqued our interest enough to make sure we tune in when it drops this Thursday, January 16th, on Netflix.
We're all part of the same story.
I will have my vengeance. You should have run.
I'm done running. This ends now.
In other trailer news, Netflix has also revealed their first official look at the new Witcher animated movie Sirens of the Deep, featuring the return of the iconic voice of Geralt from the Witcher video games, Doug Cockle, in the main role. The new movie is a direct adaptation of a short story by Andrzej Sapkowski, the creator of The Witcher, called A Little Sacrifice, as opposed to the live-action Witcher on Netflix, which often took some inspiration from the books but went off in various new directions. Sirens of the Deep sees Geralt trying to stop a war between the merpeople and the humans, all while trying to put his memories of Yennefer behind him, and it looks like the kind of faithful Witcher adaptation fans have been clamoring for, although, given that this will be followed up by the final season of the live-action Witcher, it probably is a case of too little too late.
People think I've gone soft on killing monsters. I'll prove them wrong.
And finally, D&D and Wizards of the Coast are giving us another look at some major changes coming to iconic monsters in the upcoming 2024 Monster Manual. And this time, it's the Undead who are getting a massive overhaul. First off, they're providing a whole new range of vampires for basically every level of adventuring, from low-level threats like vampire spawns to in-game baddies like the Umbral Lord, so that DMs can run full vampire campaigns from start to finish as the vampires increase in threat as the players increase in power. We also got to look at the Ghast Gravecaller, which is basically like an undead that sort of botched their research or attempt to become a lich and is stuck as some kind of lesser ghast-based necromancer. Basically, this Ghast is literally cosplaying and trying to pretend that they are a lich, trying to convince others that they are something more powerful than they may be, but still having some sort of control over minor undead. But maybe most interesting of all are the new Revenants. The Graveyard Revenant is the spirit of vengeance that has taken over an entire graveyard full of corpses to create one massive shambling mound of undead capable of threatening any party. And of course the new Haunting Revenant, which is an entire house or building taken over by that same spirit of vengeance to become a massive undead threat in its own right. Death Knights also are back and get a big boost in power by having their minions be Death Knight aspirants now, instead of, the skeletons and zombies that players would just trounce on their way to fighting the actual threat. Death Knight aspirants are lesser Death Knights in their own right, who can threaten parties far more effectively than those normal skeletons or zombies we talked about, and they give the Death Knight a much more suitably strong retinue to accompany him, considering that he's sort of a end-of-game big bad level threat. Even the Humble Ghost got a major power upgrade, where they can now hit players for a huge amount of damage in their new form and making them a major threat for the first time in a while. Much like the dragons, the focus here seems to be on giving undead back a lot of the power and the fear that they lost after several editions of players getting used to stomping down skeletons and ghouls and other undead as early level campaign fodder. And based on the horrifying new abilities we are seeing in this new take on undead, we're actually excited and slightly terrified to see the Monster Manual 2024 version show up in our home campaigns. And that's all we have this week on Tabletop News Tuesday. Let us know what your favorite story was down in the comment section, and don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons.